Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us for our webinar today as we take a look at creating multiple setups in one CAM program. Today our webinar will be led by Lindsay Morrison, Director of Digital Manufacturing, and Mark Pimentel, Product Manager here at CAD Micro Solutions. Before I hand things over to Lindsay to kick us off, there are a couple of quick housekeeping items to mention. First, as usual, we'll save a few minutes at the end of today's session for a question and answer period. Feel free to type your questions into the GoToWebinar panel as they come up, and we'll do our best to get to them all at the end of today's webinar. The webinar will be recorded, and we'll be sending you the recording via email tomorrow. So if any questions do arise afterwards, you can feel free to respond to that email, and we'll be in touch shortly. All right, without further ado, I will pass things over to Lindsay to get us started.
Perfect. Thank you, Madeline. So yeah, my name's Lindsay, and my colleague Mark is going to be doing most of the technical demonstration today. So I just kind of wanted to go over the agenda and what we will discuss in the webinar. So the first thing that we would like to talk about would be machine setups, different types of machine setups. So what we are able to do inside of SOLIDWORKS CAM and CAMWorks is we are able to essentially program multiple different machines in one file. So one CAM file, one SOLIDWORKS file, it's all combined together. And we are able to create different setups in order to create programs for different machines. So let's say, for example, if you are turning apart and then milling apart after that, those are going to be two completely different machines, and we can actually set them up into one program. So we'll show you that. We also have the CAM configurations that we're going to talk about. So this will actually allow you to take advantage of some of your SOLIDWORKS configurations and link CAM configurations to that. So what we are able to do with this is if you've got maybe some different size configurations or different design configurations that you've created inside of SOLIDWORKS, we can actually link those to different CAM configurations. So you would get a different program based on the SOLIDWORKS configuration. So again, we'll talk about that. And the last one being parametric configuration. So basically going through different types of styles. So whether it be materials or any kind of feature inside that you set up inside of the CAM program, we can actually take advantage of different configurations and use those within our programs. The last thing that we're going to talk about is both SOLIDWORKS CAM and CAMWorks products. So which types of products would allow us to do this, these different configurations, and just a general overview of the products so that you have a better idea as to what we offer at CAD Micro. So I'm going to switch this over to Mark now to start with the machine setups.
Thanks, Lindy. Like we outlined in the agenda, we're going to go through those three main applications of the idea of using a configuration inside of our CAM applications. And what you're looking at now is the first of them. It's kind of the title of the webinar. You can see a part like this would be both turned and it would also need to be put on a mill. Now, I have, if you look in the top left corner here, I have two configurations already applied. And this is a great way to program your part in one file with the use of configurations. I start off by loading the SOLIDWORKS part file, and I turn it. I've applied all these operations. And rather than opening up a separate CAMWorks or SOLIDWORKS CAM file just to do the mill, I keep everything in this one file. I actually can share the stock between the configurations, which would really make this more of an intuitive control as well, because if I go from the lathe to the mill, I also want to make sure I'm using that same stock. So what you get with this is the ability to add turning toolpaths to the part, switch to a different CAM configuration, and now I have milling toolpaths on the same part. So one file inside of your network locations or on your hard drive, whatever it is. And this also has an additional functionality of adding multiple configurations for different machines. If, let's say, the workflow in your shop is you have one lathe but two machines, and between those two machines, there might be a shift in the work offset. So this gives you the ability to program your part once for all the machines in your shop, or if it is the same machine, but you have different jigs or workflows or even fixtures. You can assign different fixturing for different machines, different setups, whatever it is, you can do all the machines that this part will ever see in one part file. The second application outlined in our agenda was if you had multiple design configurations. So because of our integration inside SOLIDWORKS, we have the ability to use those configurations as well. So you can see here, I have basically the same part, and I've actually programmed it with just some simple turning operations on here. But if we go to the SOLIDWORKS configuration manager, I have multiple configurations here of that same part. So I have the standard shank length, I have this longer shank, and I have even an extended shank. Now, I've done that inside SOLIDWORKS. That is SOLIDWORKS functionality that if you're curious about how to do that, you can always give us a call on the tech side for that. But here, this part with these different configurations allows me to add configurations within SOLIDWORKS CAM and CAMWorks. So let's say I am looking at the configuration based off of this extended length one. Click OK. Just get that to update. You can see now that I have turning toolpaths for that extra long shank right there. So all that required is the reading of the configurations on the design side into the CAM side, and I've recreated my part on the CAM side as well. So programming the part once, and then you can toggle between the configurations to get all the code, all the programs you would need for the family of the parts that you're machining. The last application is that parametric configuration we talked about in the PowerPoint. And this one is kind of a catch-all term. Really what we're referring to here is the ability that in each configuration that you've assigned in the top left corner here, you can change everything. So you've seen me change the machine, you've seen me change the configuration of the SOLIDWORKS model. Here, as an example of parametric change, I'm actually looking at this thermoforming mold as a production part and a prototype. So let's say looking at this prototype, we look at my roughing toolpath here, I have 3 passes. Now this is made out of polyurethane. I've put in feeds and speeds, step downs appropriate for that material. But let's say we go to our next configuration for the actual production of the mold. So this is a mold now made out of 1018. If we look at the same roughing toolpath, I'm taking shallower cuts and different feeds and speeds. So that would be a parametric change between the configurations. And that covers pretty much everything with the part. So materials, the stock, the tool list even. So if you are changing anything about the part, anything about the setup, you have the ability to capture all the iterations, all the instances of that program in this one file. If there's any questions on that, we can always cover that at the end, but I'll throw it back to Lindsay for the look at the actual products that cover all these configurations.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Mark. Okay. I just want to talk about just the CAM modules that are actually available through CAD Micro and through SOLIDWORKS CAM and CAMWorks. So basically with SOLIDWORKS CAM standard, that's actually the SOLIDWORKS CAM module that would come directly with your SOLIDWORKS seat. So any version of SOLIDWORKS standard, premium, professional. And that's going to be included if you are on subscription. So definitely check it out. It's worth adding in and testing out if you haven't tested it yet. Again, contact us at any time if you want a little walkthrough as to how to use that. And then if you wanted to upgrade to the SOLIDWORKS CAM Professional, this is basically the section where we would get those configurations. So the ability to use configurations would be in all of these packages. So anything above that CAM standard. So SOLIDWORKS CAM Professional is again the SOLIDWORKS product. And this one would actually include some more tool paths. So we have the volume mill, so the high speed roughing. We've got probing, 3-axis milling, 4 and 5 axis indexing, so you get right up into indexing if you do use any of the 4 and 5 axis, as well as the 2-axis turning. So this is a really great package, and again, it's a SOLIDWORKS CAM package. Anything above that in the blue section is basically the CAMWorks packages. So again, SOLIDWORKS CAM is a version of CAMWorks, so it was just placed inside of SOLIDWORKS and renamed as SOLIDWORKS CAM. So these are the exact same software package, it's just the functionality, obviously, that would change with that. So if we are looking at the CAMWorks Milling Professional, that's more into the full 3-axis. You get a lot more 3-axis machining capabilities. If you are looking at more of the Turning Professional, that's where you get into synchronous machining for turning machines, mill turn machines, and virtual machine standard. And then if you're getting into the CAMWorks Premium, that's where we're getting into the full 4 and 5 axis simultaneous machining. Again, if you are curious as to what package might be best for your shop, just give us a call and let us know, and we can discuss the machines that you're working with and what kind of parts that you're cutting. And then we can obviously assess that and check out which CAM module would work best for you. So I think that's pretty much it for me today. Madeline, are you still there?
Yeah, that was a great presentation, Lindsay and Mark. So thank you for that. We do have a few minutes left for some questions. So if you have any, just feel free to put them in the GoToWebinar panel. We do have a couple that are already in the queue, so we'll go ahead and get started on those. The first question I have here is, can you use different work holding fixtures within different CAM configurations?
Yes.
Go
So I
ahead, Mark.
guess that would be basically under that kind of parametric change. So with each configuration, you are pretty much programming from scratch. If you think about it, you can define the machine material and the fixtures. So one of the things we didn't show in that multi-machine was the different fixtures that could have been used, but definitely the same functionality that allows you to define which solid or which standard fixturing you've defined in that part, you can change that through each configuration. And using things
Awesome.
like SOLIDWORKS display states, you can hide and show them as well.
Great, thank you, Mark. I have a question here that says, does CAMWorks run on its own, or do you need SOLIDWORks?
And I can take that one. So yeah, definitely you need SOLIDWORks to run CAMWorks. There are some different options that we do have that are available for us within both SOLIDWORKS CAM and CAMWorks, specifically for machinists. So if you aren't using a full suite of SOLIDWORks, we can discuss some different options that are available for that. Just to make it a little more cost effective, but yes, you still need to tack that onto a suite of SOLIDWORks.
Awesome, thank you, Lindsay. And the last question that I have here is, does SOLIDWORKS CAM come with a communication software?
That's also yes. So SOLIDWORKS CAM comes with a software called SOLIDWORKS CAM NC editor. So basically what that is it's an editor that we can open the actual code up once we've posted it out. We can view the code. There is actually a backplot option in there, so we can actually see a quick backplot or simulation of the actual G code, which is really nice. It also has communications options inside of the software. So if you do want to set up communications directly to your machine, I believe you can use one machine. And yeah, obviously all of the different types of adjustments that you need to make inside of an editor, an NC editor, we can do within the SOLIDWORKS CAM NC editor. CAMWorks also has one, so the same editor basically. Yep.
Perfect, thank you. So that is all the questions that we have for today. If any questions do arise after we finish, please do not hesitate to reach out to your account manager or reply to the webinar email and we'll be in touch. Once again, thank you so much for a great presentation, and thank you all for joining us here this afternoon. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you.